Okay, a very polite beggar here in Tel Aviv, Israel, just came up to me and asked me, "Do you have some change that I could have to buy some coffee?" And I said no, and it was kind of funny because he was very polite. It reminds me of being in Montreal, Canada. They would say, "Excuse me, sir, could you give me $10?" I'll never forget. There are some very polite beggars in the planet, but this is really keys in with what a question that I'm going to answer today is you have to be able to say no, okay, if you're going to be a world traveler. But I had a question on the in the comments, and I'm kind of reading the comments and choosing questions now. I find that it's maybe an easier way for somebody to ask a question, and everybody wants to be anonymous, which is not what I advise if you want to be a world traveler. Okay, this guy, Redemption of Lazy Old Slacker, that was his handle on YouTube, but he asked, "How do you afford to travel nonstop around the world?" Very good question. Answered it dozens of times, but always willing to go back to it because every time I go back to it, I learn more on how I travel. I made a video the other day that the number one reason why I'm here and you're not is because I have support at home. And I will point that out always is that you do need support from friends and family and different things if you're going to travel the world because it's an emotional battle more than it is a financial battle. Okay. He said, I'm thinking I'd like to give it a try someday before I'm too old to do it. Very good. And, but on the other side is most people can actually travel the world after they're retired more than they can before they're retired. Okay, but this is a strategy question because strategy is, I've learned that the word strategy is when everybody else is doing it one way and you do it a different way, that could be a strategy. If you're doing it exactly the same way as everybody else, that's not really a strategy. But it is a good strategy to find people like me if you want to travel the world and, bleed them. I just recommended a guy, this guy Ron. He's kind of older, kind of fat. He's Israeli. And I said, really go to the Philippines and go to Angeles City and sit there until you understand how the world works. Because in Angeles City, it's a core. He's a man that said, I never want to get married, which is, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of the wrong reason to be seeing women. But I do know that there he would find all his answers. And there's places like this around the planet where there's the center of the backpacker universe or the center of the expat universe. And if you go to these places, you, by osmosis, get all this information that I'm trying to tell you today. But really, there's two questions here. Two questions that he's asking is, how do I earn enough money? And how do I afford? Affording is the ability to have enough money to do it. And so they link together. But I'm only gonna address the ability to afford to travel. And I will say that anybody can travel the world if they have $1,000 a month. That's all it takes to travel. There's people that cannot travel on that money, and they should stay home. Okay, but there are people that just never can stay in budget, put everything on their credit card, and always have a big debt and all sorts of stuff like that. But the third question, which he kind of did, is too old. When your body is too old to travel, normally that means that you have some chronic medical problem like diabetes or sleep apnea or cancer or something like that, or you broke a hip or something like that, or you can't pick up a backpack. I did make a video the other day of the people that should or 5 questions to ask yourself if you can live in a hostel, and if you can't do those things, probably best to stay home. I don't really want people to travel the world, contrary to what you think. I want them to be happy, okay, and I want them to be spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally happy. Okay, but the ways I'll briefly talk about how I've earned money. I first started earning money by doing a trade of doing websites for hotels. But in a way, remote workers is what you're going to become. So anybody that's a remote worker can do this. I made a lot of money with Google AdSense. I make money with donations. I have Patreons. Patreon people pay like $5 a month to, in essence, they pay me to tell the truth. Because when you get sponsored, when you have advertising on a website, people stop telling you the truth. I have consulting. I'm now doing some GoFundMe pages for dangerous areas. I have one in the description. It's about going to Nigeria. The two big ones, the ways to make money. The three big ways to make money for most travelers is teaching English. You can also do that remote now. You can do it anywhere on the planet. Graphics, doing any kind of digital graphics. And the third way is having aid organization. I don't recommend you do the aid organization, but that is probably the number one way that people make money is when they try to live abroad. Okay, I got some principles that I believe you need to understand before, if you're going to try to, you have to believe these principles, accept them to afford to travel. One is you have to, I had this guy, Dave, in Sosua, Dominican Republic, asked me how I found $10 hotels. And I said, quite easy, Dave. I believe they exist. And he never did understand that and never could accept it because in his mind, a hotel should cost, I don't know, whatever. And there's a lot of people that don't believe that they can travel the world on $1,000 a month, even though I've been doing it for 26 years in 115 countries. And if they follow along, it's quite obvious that I do it. But number one is it's cheaper to live in 200 countries on the planet than it is to live inside the Western Europe, United States, Japan, Australia, whatever. If you believe that, then you can travel the world because you're not part of the social construct that believes you have to pay that kind of money. Number two is you have to believe that the proper price globally for a room is $10 a night. That's what I was telling Dave. I always feel like I'm paying too much when I pay more than 10. Like right now I'm in a hostel in a country where I really don't want to be that much, and I'm paying $20 a night, and it's horrible, okay? But there is a global value to rooms, and it's $10 a night, maybe getting up to 12 or 13 right now. It's moving up a little. Number three, you have to understand you're not a tourist. If you want to be a tourist, you got to stay home. Tourists are people that have checklists of everything they're going to do every day. They think that basically they're going to go fine dining, then they're going to go do all these checklists of different tourist attractions every day. That is not a traveler. A traveler is a person that takes it easy, does it maybe an hour's worth of things a day. You're not a tourist. You can't spend money like a tourist. You can't drink like a tourist. The other day, this guy Michael, he moved here from LA, and I said I was getting kind of bored, and he says what you should do is go to a fine restaurant every night. Just has no clue, right? That is not what tourists do. Don't get me wrong. I do eat the food in countries because I eat the specific, like here is a falafel. I eat foods that are very culturally distinct to the country. There's some certain breads here that are thing, and maybe olives. Number four, you have to believe and understand and accept that people will not like you. What you're doing, and the reason why they don't like you is because you're saying there's something wrong with the United States, or you're saying there's something wrong with Germany or France or whatever. You're saying that I reject. My website's called Global Citizen, and it's an insult to the United States in their mind. I'm not trying to insult the United States, but that's their mind. You have to accept that. You also have to sit there and say you're giving up their American dream of a car, a house, and a workaholic job. And that is an insult to their whole way of living. So you have to accept that. You have to accept number five, that saving money is the goal. So these are principles, that a dollar saved is really $2 earned. I spend more time concentrating on saving money than I do on earning money. Number 6 is anchors are not allowed. Now you gotta. This is really a strategy. You gotta understand that an anchor. People just love anchors. They love the car. They love the monthly payment. They want. You don't get to have a TV. You don't buy big TVs. You don't buy cars. You don't buy anything that don't fit in a backpack. Okay, you don't rent an apartment by the year. These are things that are. You don't have an Apple phone that costs $1,000. Okay, you don't sign up for monthly fees like. You can a little like Netflix or something like that, but there's so many people that have T-Mobile accounts that they really don't work internationally. They work in maybe Mexico and some of Central America. Number 7, Eat, Love, and Pray. There's a movie with Julia Roberts in it, Eat, Love, and Pray. And this is really the essence of travel. Eating the food, loving the people, and pray. Because there's nothing more inherently part of travel than religions. Like I'm in Israel right now, and I'm in a extremely Jewish country, and that's just, you just have to deal with it. Number 8, cost of transportation strategy. This one hard to people, but I live in places where I can walk. If I have to use a taxi, or I have to use a rental car, or I have to buy a car or whatever, I normally move away. Okay, I want to live in places where I can walk across the city. Inside the United States, that's a city less than about 20,000 people. Outside the United States, it can be 20,000 to 50,000. There's like right here in this city, there's 20,000 people per square mile. It's a very highly concentrated, but I don't normally live in these kind of places because the number 9 is the bigger the city, the bigger the problems. So if you want problems, you want expensive problems, you go to big cities. If you want to go cheap, you go to smaller cities. It's simple. 10 is, these are all cumulative. The 10 things I've just pointed out, or 9 things I just pointed out, are all work together in synergy, and you have to do a little bit of all of them. Everybody tries to get the silver bullet solution, like I'm going to do this and it's going to solve all my problems. It doesn't work that way. It's a culmination of a bunch of things. Now I'm going to talk to you about you must be able to afford. You got to be able to save money. If you can't save money and you never save money, it's better to stay home. If you're not self-entertaining, like right now I'm having a big problem because I have very little to do in Tel Aviv, and I have movies to watch, books to read, and I like to walk, and I like to write. So these are my self-entertainment things. Self-entertainment. My mother was really good at that. She could read books every day of the week and be very happy. Being self-entertaining, basically you're happy anywhere you're at. You make friends naturally. You say hello to people. You instantly start talking with people. That's part of, you have to adapt to a thing that you need people and you need to talk to them. You got to be able to walk. Very difficult to travel if you can't walk. A lot of people have these, I just watched about 10 young people come up the 3 flights of stairs here in the hostel, and they all had suitcases big as elephants, right? And I'm sitting there going, not one of them had a backpack. Not one of them was really walking with a backpack. And this is the new generation. They're going straight trolley cart, backpack, and this is not going to work when you're walking through Africa or something like that, or Thailand. You got it. Number 5, you got to choose small areas, small cities. A lot of people absolutely hate small cities. Do you hate small cities? Number 6, you got to get used to no reservations. Reservations are probably the number 1 reason people stop traveling in a lot of ways, because they are so locked into a rigid thing that they have no freedom. I often meet people maybe they call them backpackers in Europe, and they're going to 19 countries in 17 days. They're not. They got reservations. They got a whole stack of sheets. I even put that inside that vest that I wear. I have a specific pockets for these tablets, because they'll literally have a complete reservation system for 30 days. Um, Number 7, you got to be willing to get a one-way ticket. A lot of people are afraid to do a one-way ticket. Are you afraid? But this is why the number one reason I'm here and you're not here, and I say it's supportive of the people. I know that I'm always safe. And if you don't know that you're always safe, and there's somebody like literally friends, family, whatever to do it. One reason to become a Patreon member is you can create a core group of people that are understand your motives and can be supportive when you need it. The other day, Cliff helped me to get my ticket because I couldn't do it here with my Express VPN, which was what Kim Commando recommended. It was blocking me being in Israel. Here's some comments that I hear that tell me that you're not a traveler or you're not going to make it. I just bought this. Somebody tells me they just bought something. I'm going, okay, that means you're locking into anchors. Eat, love, and pray. There's people that say they're not going to eat the food. They're not searching for love. Almost everybody searches for love, or they search for prayer. It's a spiritual trip, traveling. It's about meeting people and doing. This is a funny one. I would never use a squat toilet. I always laugh when they say that, because you're going to get in Thailand on one of these first class buses and you're going to go south, and they're going to stop at a truck stop or something, and there's only going to be squat toilets. Actually, in Africa, there's no toilets on the bus, and people will just go out in the bush. Number 5, I'm going to quote James Michener: if you reject the food, ignore the customs, fear the religion, and avoid the people, you might better stay home. People that tell me they don't like people and they like their dogs better than people, they have very little chance of traveling, okay? Because they're not understanding that travel is about meeting people, okay? And it's meeting people very fast. It's high-speed living. But fear the religion. Fear the religion is when you're angry at religions. Anger is, to me, fear. And there's a lot of people that just act like they have nothing to do with religion. That's why Eat, Love, and Pray that movie is so important, because it narrows down why people travel the world. Eat, love, and pray. They eat the food, they love the people, and they pray. Reject the food, ignore the custom, fear the religion, avoid people. How do I know somebody's going to avoid people? They're not taking public transport. They're always asking about how to rent a car, or they're asking questions on how to avoid people. Instead of how to meet people, they're talking about how to avoid people. Okay, very good question. Send me your questions if you want to ask questions. I've traveled to 115 countries, been doing this for 26 plus years. I'm in Israel, and I'm a man without a mission. So give me a mission to something to do, because this has got to be one of the most difficult places I've ever traveled, because there's just nothing to do other than pray, right? This is definitely a place if you want to find out. I don't know. It's the epicenter of hopeless prayer on the planet. I'm Andy Lee Graham. I'm here and you're not. Why not? And again, the reason is because I have support at home. But I also am always looking for new ideas, new strategies, new things. And but if you can come up with $1,000 a month, you can travel the world. I'm here and you're not. Why not? Andy Lee Graham.